I've been coffee dyeing some paper and thought y'all might like to sit in on that a little bit. I don't have any kind of new technique to share or anything really interesting to say, so fair warning. I'm just playing with the camera on. So I've been using two different kinds of papers. One is this just regular computer paper, copy paper, whatever. And then this thin paper that's out of a book that's kind of like a dictionary but not. It's this one that I've been using a lot of lately. It's a library directory that my library gave to me because it's outdated, and I just pull papers out of here, but they're about the same as like a dictionary page, so really thin. And the copy paper that I've been using is like from Walmart. It's really thin too. So I've got some of these have stencils on them. I've been playing with that because that's kind of, I've seen a lot of people do that, but I've never done it before. So it was really hit or miss with this thin paper, and I'll show you why I think that is. Some of it was user error, you know, learning curve, because I did kind of figure out how to make it work. It just took me a while. And I just used, you know, random whatever stencils. Most of the stencils, well, I think in fact all of these are from a Colorful Life Designs, and some of them are my own designs. So I'll put a link. You can go there if you like some of the designs I've used, or just look around on their website because they have tons of cool stencils. And I have a discount code. I think it's Shannon10, so you can get a little discount and find something you like. So see, I kind of got the hang of it here. And then the copy paper, you know, same thing. It was kind of hit or miss. I did find that the stencils with thicker lines tend to do a little better than those with thinner lines. And maybe that's just because of the way I do it. But yeah, I did kind of finally figure out what worked better. And hey, if your stencils are dirty, you can get some color bleeding, which is kind of cool. So before you wash your stencils, coffee dye with them because you get some added color and it's fun. So yeah, pro tip, right? Okay, so, and some of these I let dry naturally. Well, no, all of these I did, because with stencils, the way I did it, I couldn't do it in the oven because I didn't want to warp my stencils. But then some of the regular ones, okay, this is my favorite way to coffee dye, this pattern. And it does better, or I get better results if I heat it in the oven, and I'll show you why. But yeah, these are my favorite, just, you know, not stenciled, just coffee dyed. And then I've got just some randos back here. So I'll show you what I did. And we'll do a few together. And then actually I do have an idea for how to use them. And it involves this. Knox On-Camera Recipes, a completely new guide to gel cookery. Y'all, this is fabulous. I mean, look at this. Cottage cheese and kidney bean salad, and it's a Jell-O mold, okay, yuck, and it's got like step by step, and I'm just picturing a little book with each step on a page, you know, and then the I don't know, I'm just going to rework this somehow because it's fabulous, and I might use my coffee dyed things with it. So let's just jump in. I pulled some stencils, I've got some papers, and I've been doing a lot of dyeing with some other stuff too, so my hands got really gross, and then I figured out, oh, I should wear gloves. And these are Jason's gloves, and they're too big for me. I have a whole box, you know, he has his own box of gloves, and then I have mine because we need different sizes, but mine, I'm out of mine, so this is what I've got. I pulled some stencils out of my little stencil bag to play with. And this is how I do it. This is just to help me pick the stuff up. Let's do one of these first. Oh yeah, and I've got some coffee. This was from about a week ago, but I made up, I think it was about 2 cups of water because I had it in a glass measuring cup, and then I heated it in the microwave till it was boiling. Then I think I put about 3 heaping tablespoons of instant coffee in it, and this is what's left from that. I have a little bit in a spray thing, but I rarely use that. I don't like the spray technique. But I do like this. So I'm going to pour some coffee in my thing here. And get some paper. This super thin dictionary type paper. You know, you look at it and it tears, but I'm not really fussy about that. But I want coffee on one side and coffee on the other side. Make sure it's all covered. Okay, then I'm going to lay my stencils on it. And let's do, I want it kind of, see, I want to kind of soak it good with the coffee so that it expands and you can smooth out the wrinkles, because you want this really flat on here. And let's just put several on there because I've got all these ones. And then maybe that. Okay. And then more coffee. Because you really want it to be underneath and on top. And you know, you can just lay your stencils onto a piece of paper and then spray coffee through it, which is great. But I kind of like this. I like the impression that it gives, but on the downside, you know, you have to let it dry naturally because you can't really stick your stencils in the oven. They might warp. So you gotta have patience. And I don't have a lot of that. But yeah, just do what you can. Now, I'm going to lay this out on my towel. I'll get rid of some of the excess, but let the rest of it drip. And make sure it's flat. And still stuck down good. I think it is. Y'all, I did not intend to coffee dye paper. I'm doing this kind of against my will, or at least I started it that way. Because what happened, it was when I did whatever that last video I did was, I don't remember, whatever it was. Anyway, I finished filming, and then I went to take the, you know, it has a little SD card that goes in my camera, and I save the video on the SD card and then pull it out, and I put the card in my computer, and then I edit it, and that has been my process for, you know, a decade. And for whatever reason, I pulled the SD card out of my camera right above me at this table, and then there's a table over there that has my computer on it. So I pulled the SD card out, I walked over to the computer, and I crammed that SD card into the CD slot on my computer. Why? Why would I do that? It is not a new computer, y'all. I've had this same model of computer for, I think, 14 years. Like, I know where the SD slot is. It's over here. But for some reason, my brain stuck that card in the CD slot, which is over here. And of course, the CD slot just kind of gobbled it up because I crammed it in there good. And I immediately realized what I did, and I stood there and laughed at myself. And then I went, well, crap, how am I going to get it out? So I leaned over to grab some tweezers to, you know, fish the little little memory card out of the CD slot, bumped my table, knocked over an entire full cup of coffee all over my table where I had been doing painty papers. That was the video, the painty paper video. So, yeah, I was like a ninja. Man, you should have seen me spring into action. Grab my phone first and, you know, started drying it off, and then started drying off, you know, the rest of the stuff on the table. And I had a stack of these papers that I was using for the painty papers. They got coffee dyed, you know, against their will. Coffee and creamer dyed. Little difference there. So I was like, huh, well, okay, maybe that's the universe telling me I need coffee dye. I don't know. Anyway, didn't care. Set them aside, and then got the tweezers, fished my SD card out of the CD slot, you know, no problem at all, went about my business. And then it was like maybe the day after, or whenever I uploaded the video, all of the videos on my YouTube, you know how it does the suggested videos, whatever, were all about coffee dye. I didn't even say coffee dye out loud, you know, I don't know how it happened. It's that weird Big Brother thing that had like the universe is listening. But yeah, I had just tons of coffee dye videos showed up in my YouTube feed. So I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Big Brother wants me to coffee dye paper. So I went with it. And the first video I watched was from, I wrote it down. It's probably Sharon. And she was doing stencils. She was doing this technique with stencils on her papers. And I was like, oh, I haven't done that. I've never stenciled my coffee dyed papers. And she was doing it like this, you know, and she's doing it probably a whole lot better than I am. So I want you to go watch her video and see the good way to do it as opposed to the Shannon way, because, you know, I kind of half watched the video, half paid attention. Then nothing turned out right, so I went back and then actually watched it and figured out everything that I did wrong. But yeah, she's kind of the reason why I'm stenciling my coffee dyed papers. So that's how this came about, and that's why I have really nothing new to share, just showing you what I'm doing. See, I'm leaving lots of coffee on there and then let it dry flat. And if you can avoid like moving it like I'm doing, that's better, because you really want it to stay flat and have a lot of coffee in there to make a good impression with your stencils. So I'll do, let's see, I'll do a couple more. Try one of these. I don't like the results I get with this thin paper. I really think the reason that I don't get a really good impression with this is because it dries too fast. It's super thin. So I'm wondering, or I'm thinking maybe heavier paper would be better. But, you know, I used what was on my desk and what got spilled on, and this was it. So I get some okay impressions, just not great. But here we are. I did find that stencils with thicker lines do better than stencils with little lines like this one. So there is that. Let me see if I can put one with thicker lines next to it to compare. Maybe this one. There we go. Lots of coffee over and under. This is my designated dyeing tray. Yeah, like I said, moving them is not the best idea, but I got limited space to work, so I'm just doing what I can. Okay, and then maybe one more of these. When I've coffee dyed before, I've used like grounds and everything, but this time I just kept it simple. I just used the instant coffee and water. I love this stencil. I want that one like right there. Alright, lay this out and then I'll show you how I get my favorite patterns. On just regular paper. And this technique does better if you use the oven. You know, with coffee dyeing, you can use the oven or not. I find when I use the oven, the papers are a little darker, especially on this tray, because I think the metal conducts heat, so it gets darker on the bottom, which can make some, I don't know if you can tell, but I painted some fabric years ago and dried them in the oven with the same technique I'm going to show you, and you can kind of see the pattern on the bottom of the tray that had the paint. Yeah, that's kind of what it does. That's what makes the wadded up look. I don't know where I put, oh, there they are. Let me take these off and get my stack and show you again, so you can kind of see what we're going for. Yeah, these. This look is what I like. And depending on where it touches the tray that I bake it on, that's where the darker spots are. And I did iron these because I like to. I like ironing paper, whether it needs it or not. I just iron it. You don't have to. So just to do that, you just literally wad up your papers with coffee on them. And you gotta be careful because they're gonna want to tear when you wad them and when you unwad them. And I'm gonna use, I really should use my heavier copy paper. I don't have any in front of me, so I'll just use the same really cheap lightweight copy paper. And put it in here. You know what? Let's do this. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, never mind. I'm trying to think out loud, and I shouldn't do that because it just doesn't work well for you to hear my disjointed thoughts. Yeah, when I haven't pre-worked them out in my head. Then you just kind of, you know, wad it a little. And then when I bake it, I'm going to put it on this tray. This is just a Teflon sheet. You don't really need that unless you just want it. But I'm just going to kind of put my little wads on my tray and then stick it in my oven at no more than 200 degrees. And then I'm at 200, I'm really going to watch it. So 170, 180, 200 Fahrenheit is about where I put it. And then that way it'll just take it a few minutes to dry out. And then these areas that are touching the pan will get a little bit darker, and that's how you get that fun kind of marbly look. So that's what that's all about. I'm going to do a bunch of these, finish up this batch of coffee that I've got, and then come back and show you some results. I think my stenciled papers are mostly dry, so let's pull them off, see what we got. Ooh. Those look pretty good. Yeah, oh, that one had some paint or ink or something on it, so we got bonus color. And that one didn't do too great. That one's kind of okay. So there's results on this one. And it really, I'm convinced that you get better prints when, you know, as they're drying, the coffee just kind of pools up underneath and around the stencil. And then you get better color. See, there wasn't a lot of pooling, and this one has the thin lines. You remember I was saying how I wasn't having much luck with thinner lines, but the thicker ones I did, and I think it's because it holds on to the coffee longer and it gives it time to do its thing. I don't know. It's science. I think there's just science happening here. That one, yep. See, skinny lines. I just don't get much out of them. And on this thin paper, I think it dries too fast for the coffee to really soak in and do much. So I think that's why I struggle with it. But this one was kind of okay. That's not too bad. So there we go. And this one has some kind of skinny lines and some thicker ones. Hey, it did pretty good. I like that. And here, well, kind of sort of okay here and there. This one, I don't have a lot of confidence in this one. Yeah, again, it's the thin paper and the skinny stencils. So it didn't have much going on as far as pattern. Always check your back sides because sometimes, you know, the back side looks better. Not much happening there. And this one, kind of cool. And, oh, that looks nice. See, on this paper, it did a little bit better with the skinny lines. Not too bad. And these two, yeah, I figured these would do really good. And they did. So there is some coffee dyed stenciled papers. You can go in and iron them if you want. I usually put a non-stick heat-proof something over them and then just iron them. Use your regular iron. I've got this one out just because it's smaller and I have a small work area. And that is a beautiful sheet. So, stencils with coffee dye. Now my wadded ones, I put my tray of little wads in the oven at about 200 for 5 minutes, and then I flipped them over and did 5 more minutes, and then I shut off the oven and left them in there while I had lunch and kind of forgot about them. So then I pulled them out, and while they were still damp, I ironed some of them out. And if you're going to do that wadding thing, you definitely want to use a better quality paper than I did. This was super cheap Walmart copy paper. I should have used my hammer mill paper that I normally use, but I would have had to walk 4 steps to the other room to get it, and I'm just too lazy. So there's some little tears and little holes here and there because of, you know, thin paper and water, but still I got the cool pattern that I was looking for. The kind of, it's almost marbled, really. do love these. They're my favorites. So I've got a few. They were pretty, like, not soaking wet, but still wet when I unwadded them. And then I've just kind of laid them out, and there's still a stack right here. So I'm gonna, see, that one's kind of half dry, half not. Iron it. And the iron will finish drying it. I also left, I've got a few down here beside me that I wadded up, but I didn't put them in the oven. I just let them air dry. And they're not dry. But I can show you what they're going to look like. I love that. Love it, love it. Okay. This one I kind of opened up to let it get a little bit dry. And so you still get the kind of mottled, marbly thing, just not as intense as you do when you bake it. So let's get rid of some of these wrinkles so you can see. I've got on this, underneath this towel is a, oops, one of those, if you make an ironing board cover, this is the material you put in it, so it's heat resistant. I can't remember what that's called. I bought it years ago, and you can melt it with this iron. This iron gets way hotter than your household iron. But for the most part, it's heat resistant, so I iron on it a lot. See, this one was practically dry, which means it's harder to iron out the wrinkles. So, yeah, if it's still like super wrinkly, even after you've ironed it, you know, it's just like clothes. You spray your clothes with water to iron out the difficult wrinkles. So you can do the same here, or just spray it with a little more coffee to dampen the paper, and then iron out the wrinkles. If you're fussy about wrinkles, I'm really not. I'm just giving you options. Plus, it just gives me another excuse to iron the paper, which we have established that I enjoy doing. I do not enjoy ironing clothes. It's not about the ironing, it's about the paper, obviously. Oh yeah, much smoother. Plus you get a little extra coffee pattern happening. So, there you have it. And let's do another one of those. This one, how about this one? Yeah, it's wetter. This is another one that I let air dry, and it's still pretty damp. So I'm going to be careful with it because we're tearing easily. Now I'll show you these air-dried ones like this compared to the baked ones like these. They're very similar. It's just the baked ones are just a little bit darker. You get a little of that, you know, burnt coffee happening. Where these are still, you know, have beautiful coffee patterns on them. They're just not quite as dark as some of these. So yeah, the baking, you get a little bit darker results, which is why I like to bake them. So there's our Carfi marble papers. and our stenciled papers. So you can just build up your stash of these, and I have an idea for something I'm going to do with them, and I'll figure that out and film it when I get around to it. Until then, that's all I got, y'all. The end.